Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how to initially set up an ASA firewall and ASDM so you can manage it. I am CCNP Seth, and let's get into it. So here's the topology, and I have the steps laid out for you. Here you can see you need a host PC and your ASA. I have an actual physical 505 firewall, and these are the ports that need to be connected to it. So I need to have a console cable, and I need to have a fast Ethernet connection to it so I could actually install ASDM. So the first step is erase the startup config for the ASA. So to do that, initially setting this up, if there's no ASDM and no HTTPS services, we're going to start off clean. So you need to console into it. So let me bring that up. Line 6, move this over. Alright, so we're going to go into enable mode. By default there is no password, but you could always set an enable password. And then we can do write erase. Erase the configuration in Flash. Yes, we do. And then we will do a reload. Alright, let that do its thing, and we'll come back to it in just a sec. So here are the steps that I'm going to talk about it, then I'll actually do it as the ASA is rebooting. Let's put this off to the side so I know that it's done. Alright, so first thing is we're going to configure a port right here. Okay, going to configure a port, and in ASAs, or at least the 505, there are 8 switch ports, and you cannot turn them into routed ports. So we actually have to use an interface. Oh, this is horrible. An interface VLAN, an SVI, to actually assign an IP address. So we're going to configure one of the ports, which is 0/5. We're going to configure it as a switch port, and then we're going to use the interface VLAN of that switch port and give it an IP address, give it a security level, and a description like a name, things like that. Once that's all done, then we're going to enable HTTP services, saying that, hey, we're going to turn on HTTP capabilities, and this is needed to install ASDM on your local machine. Then we are going to tell it what IP address and what interfaces the ASDM should be expecting HTTP traffic. So that's one of the necessary things. Then we're going to create a username because by default there is no username. So we're going to create one, give it a privilege level of 15, and a password. Then we're going to set up SSL encryption types for the browser. So depending on what internet or what browser you are running, it could negotiate different types of encryption. So we want to make sure that the firewall can accept multiple encryption types, like triple DES, AES, things like that. Then we are actually going to go into the web browser or use a web browser, and then hit that interface VLAN IP address that we set up here, and we will get a menu from the ASA, and we'll see some options. So I think that it is done reloading, so let's wipe all this off and let's get to it. So I did a write erase reload, you saw that, and now it says, do you want to pre-configure firewall now through the interactive prompts? This is similar to when you write erase a switch or a router. Do you want to do initial configs? No, I do not, thank you, sir. And now we're into the ASA, it's clean. So go into enable mode. There's no password by default, and let's go ahead and follow these steps. Configure report. Alright, would you like to enable, no, thank you. Alright, bring this, see if I could show you that port right there. All right, fast Ethernet 05, that is the actual switch port that I am in. So let's go, we're config T, initial, what is it, E0/5. We do switch port, access VLAN, and then whatever this VLAN we want to say for this inside interface. So let's just say VLAN 10. All right, give it a no shut, and then let's go into interface VLAN 10. Let's give it a security level of 100. I will explain security levels probably in another video, but right now we're just doing initial setup for the ASA. So security level 100. All right, cool. Now let's name it. Name interface, and we'll call it the inside interface. This is like the inside of our network. Now let's give it an IP address of 10.0.0.1 with a /24 mask. All right, that looks good. So configured a port, already did that. Now let's enable HTTP services. So what we're going to do is HTTP server enable. Yeah, enable. Then we're going to go HTTP, and this is where we are going to expect HTTP traffic from the inside interface. All right, so that's done. Now let's create a username. I don't know why I got out of that. So let's go username. We'll go CCNP Seth. Password. Let's just do Cisco. Very secure. And let's give it a privilege level of 15. Alright, so that's checked off. Now let's go set SSL encryption types for the browser. So if we do SSL encryption, look at our options. These are all the different types of encryptions that this ASA is willing to negotiate. So we can do things like, let's do 3DES and AES. Let's do 128. AES 256. Let's do RC4. Oops, space. RC4 MD5, right? RC4 MD5. And then RC4 SHA1. Let's try that. It didn't like that. Oh, what does that 256 come from? Well, let's just get rid of that. That's fine. All right, cool. Now we set it up as SSL encryption. Now let's go into a web browser, and let's go to this address. First thing, let's make sure that we actually have an IP address. So since DHCP services are not enabled, you want to statically configure your PC's IP address. So I did a 10.0.0.10 with a /24 with the default gateway being that interface VLAN. Cool. Click close. Minimize that. Let's bring up Google Chrome. HTTPS. Let's do 10.0.1.0.1. 10.0.0.1. Bam. All right. Your connection is not private. It's due because we don't have an actual certificate authority saying that be aware of the certificate is not trusted. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Now we are actually in the web page for the ASA. So here we will do install ASDM launcher. What this does, and it asks for a username. So what would we do? CCNP Seth and password of Cisco. Now it's downloaded. All right. So you could run that, and then you would just, once it's installed, actually launch it, and then it'll look like this. So put in the IP address of the ASA and put in the username CCNP Seth with a password of Cisco. Hit enter. Yeah, it doesn't trust it because of that SSL cert. Hit continue, and it's gonna launch, and it should come up any second. And here it is. Looks like it's gonna take a while. So this is it. This is what it looks like. This was the initial configuration for ASA and ASDM.